This is Adam Martyn, writer, actor, singer, and one of my very favourite YouTube channels. Do yourself a favour right now, and if you haven't already, go and check out his videos on unboxings, interviews, TV history, as well as a podcast with some of the brightest, sunniest faces on the platform. Here's Sam. He's very lonely. In an attempt to stay social, I'm going to start a run of Doctor Who commentary tracks. Got a good mic, Wi-Fi, strong opinions on a 45-minute block of Doctor Who? Brilliant. Give me a shout. They'll get copyright claim to hell and back, but it could be a lot of fun. And with some fun names coming up, it's finally time I started putting my contacts list to good use. Let's begin on the Twin Dilemma. Huh? Doctor Who theme plays. Hello!
Yes. Hiya.
It's Adam.
That's me.
It's Sam. We're doing a commentary track on the Twin Dilemma of all episodes.
Not the worst story of all time, I will have all of you know, quite frankly. That role deserves to go to the Dominators, thank you very much.
Oh my word. Okay, well you've already given me a lot to go with. If you're going to lead the charge on that, then that's your fight, dude. That's your hill to die on. I am willing to be converted into a Twin Dilemma stan and join the club of 5.
I don't know if stands the... I think people just associate because I don't think the Twin Dilemma is the worst thing ever. They think I stan it. I'd say that's not exactly true. It's just I don't... Do you know what I mean? I think it just gets way more flack than it deserves. But one thing I will say, these two kids right here, yeah, I can't really defend them.
Why would you?
Sadly.
Hey, remember Adric? Remember how much everyone loved Adric? I'm not going to be... I'm not here to shit on it. I'm really not. I gave you the task of picking any episode, any 45 minutes of Doctor Who, and you quite rightly went for something we would have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and I think I said to you on Twitter, it came as an epiphany moment. I just messaged you out of the blue saying, Twin Dilemma, that is all.
Cold sweats in the middle of the night. I arise from my bed. Twin Dilemma.
Yeah, well, it's a hard question, though, isn't it? You say pick any episode ever to talk about. I mean, you could pick your favourite, you could pick your least favourite. There's so many possibilities, but no, I feel this one just felt right because, again, I've defended this a lot on social media and stuff, and I think maybe it's time to try and explain that a little bit. Here he is.
Oh.
Is it just me who thinks 6E and 5's sort of damaged costume looks pretty cool, actually?
Yeah, it's actually a downgrade. And I like the coat. J&T's weird fixture with heroes having to wear costumes and outfits rather than clothes.
Yeah.
I think out of his legacy, that's one thing that really stuck. And we're back there with Miss Whittaker now, definitely. That's
absolutely.
That's an outfit if I've ever seen one.
It's the most extraordinary improvement.
On what?
My last incarnation. I was never happy with that one.
Everyone's why is the Sixth Doctor so mean to his past self? He's just slagged him off. But again, why can't the Doctor have a bit of that, more ruthless and, if you want, a little bit of cruelty?
Absolutely. Every Doctor does this. That's an ongoing gag. I think from an audience point of view, slating off a character you haven't earned our trust yet as a leading man.
Oh, there it is. There's the woolly.
I was reading an 11th Doctor book and he was wearing it in that. So how long does this man look after his clothes? It's insane.
All these little moments, if you like, where his Doctor seems to be crashing out a little bit. I don't know. It's something different as well. Because at this point, the first 5 Doctors, they have their... Well, Davison had a bit of a, crisis moment as well. But all the others, I'd say, by comparison, were fairly straightforward compared to this one.
Something deeply went wrong here, whether it's a midlife crisis or what. I'm not sure if they ever elaborate on it. It's just a regeneration. This can happen sometimes. Sometimes you strangle your closest friends.
Yeah, and I'll talk on that when we get there. But yeah,
so excited to get to that.
No, it's you're so excited for it, aren't you, Sam? You're waiting for this pinnacle moment.
Because you and I, we're proper Doctor Who fans. We're proper Doctor. We know what happens to enemy spies.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think the staging of a untrustworthy Doctor is amazing. On paper, that sounds brilliant. Colin Baker's the exact right actor to do it with. There's a couple factors which don't stick the landing.
Yeah.
Number one is we don't know Peri enough for her to be audience identification.
Yeah. No, it's a shame in that way, isn't it? Because I think, obviously, And, it's up for debate whether it's canon or not. It's your own choice. But, the whole, like with Big Finish stuff, Perry has loads of adventures with the Fifth Doctor. But
if you're a viewer in the mid-'80s and suddenly you're stuck with her, I also think it just makes her a more boring character than before. But she's not allowed to do anything. She's a completely reactionary character in The Twin Dilemma and Attack of the Cybermen. She'll blossom into one of my favourites ever, but for the moment she's kind of just like rolling her eyes and bickering in the TARDIS, and sadly that does consume so many of these.
With the new Doctor, I think they sort of write her that she sort of warms to him a bit too quickly. I know they sort of imply, here and there that she's not so sure, but I think the impression is they write her so that she's accepted this Doctor almost at face value, that he's changed, if that makes sense.
Even though she's been given nothing to work with and no redeeming qualities, which is actually, because they go so far in that direction of, this Doctor is nuts and awful.
Yeah.
In this, especially in part 1 of Twin Dilemma, when he shows actual cowardice and stuff, I think it's excellent. But, I mean, the coat is indicative of this enough. I think the 80s was too gaudy an era to do a storyline like this in. How's that for a take?
Yeah. The 80s was very much the 80s. I love how Perry's clutching that leather jacket still.
Oh yeah, just please put it on. Please put this one on.
Well, he had taste, a feeling for style.
Excuse me? The Fifth Doctor had a sense of style?
Cricket and vegetables. But
this is news to me. Yeah, alright.
That's a nice model shot, come on.
It was very nice, and it's pretty quickly been undercut by these guys, I'm sad to say.
Do you know what? I don't have a problem as much with... I'm not really fussed by like their makeup or how they're made to be. It's an interesting kind of design. But again, I just think in terms of the 80s, I mean, you could say it's a common problem in 80s. Everything is far too like overly lit.
This is quite nice.
Yeah,
I can give it a fair shot.
Little tease, a little bit of Mestor. We all like Mestor, don't we? The slug, the prank.
Yeah. We all like Mestor. Adam Martyn.
Quote, yeah.
2021.
I do love this TARDIS console as well, though. It is so 80s that you can't not love it.
Ta-da!
Yuck. That's the worst exchange in the Doctor Who series for me. It just is.
Ta-da, yuck.
That's my least favourite bit, because no one's looking good from that exchange.
The whole like Perry and Sixth Doctor arguing the TARDIS, yes, it happens a lot for far too long, but I'd argue if it's going to be valid in any story, it has to be this one, because it is the Sixth Doctor's first one. So I don't really mind this, like, outward confrontation at first. I mean, again, you could argue Capaldi was the same to that extent, in like Deep Breath, and a little bit, but then at least it eased out over time, bit by bit.
You can call this Deep Breath-esque. This is definitely Deep Breath-esque.
Yeah. Oh, here it comes, Sam. Here it comes. Your favourite moment. It's coming. It's a spy on me.
Moments before tragic events.
Here we go.
Well, we all know the fate of alien spies. Spyfall 2020. I love Spyfall. Great episode.
Thank God she had that mirror, isn't it?
John Hurt arrives and just smashes it.
I think it... But now that the most controversial moment's happened, I'm not opposed to that happening in the sense of the Doctor goes to strangle his companion, but I think the way in which it's dealt with is a bit Deus Ex Machina. It would have been more interesting if, maybe he started to strangle her, but then very quickly realised what he was doing and then had that sort of, breakdown moment.
I would have gone the opposite direction and had the Doctor trying to assault Perry during many moments in the story. So you're always keeping an eye on him. Like you can see in his brain, he's like, now? It is a character piece. And admirably, I can say that and not sound pretentious. It really evidently is. There's a Doctor Who adventure happening in the background, but all the TARDIS-bound stuff, all of them getting to the action, it's very character-focused. It's clear in what it's trying to do. It's just a mental direction. But on paper, I like all of it. I like a Doctor who's cowardly. I like a Doctor who's a bit untrustworthy.
What is it? You don't have to be cruel or cowardly. Like, I know that is sort of the Doctor's raison d'etre and motif, but I think in terms of this, like, a first story, I think you are allowed to sort of let him find that again. He doesn't have to be not cruel and cowardly right from the word go in a new body, I'd think.
Every Doctor's journey, if you're going to do a character arc, which, the classic series barely does, so this is already bonus points for the classic series, should be a journey to getting back to being what the Doctor is. Will find my own version of the Doctor. And that ties in nicely to the actor's journey as well.
Yeah. No, I think absolutely it's a case of, I think why a lot of the reasons Twin Dilemma gets a bad rap, yes, there's other elements of the story as well, but in terms of the Doctor, it's literally, I think, just how these moments are handled. I think there's some really good moments, but like we've said already, there are still some moments that are
tacky and alienating.
That are like maybe mishandled or in the wrong direction.
That was a very polite way to say tacky and alienating.
But at least it's doing something different. It's giving it a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Which, after the 70s, frankly, this show did need massively.
Oh, absolutely.
I welcome any deviation from the norm.
Yeah, I think even to some extent in Peter Davison's time, I think a lot of the stories and situations are fairly safe. Or like, there are some bolder moments, sure, but I just think, yeah, by this point, for a 21-year-old show, it really needed to do something boldly different. And this is what the Twin Dilemma is. Does it work all the time? No, of course it doesn't. But hey, at least it's not like, I don't know, just I'm the new Doctor now, I'm all fine. Let's go and fight some Daleks or something. Do you know what I mean? It's not...
To the space freighter!
What I will say as we're watching this, for anyone who hasn't, you definitely read the Target version of the Twin Dilemma, because I think it fleshes out everything it wants to so much better. Obviously, because it has more time, but yeah. No, definitely go and read it.
I am yet to read it, but I know that Eric Sayward goes into some really weird details, like the Doctor's parents never taught him about sex. And there's a weird bit about him not liking Adric, and it's just like, Sayward. As far as unpopular stories go, this one does have the most notorious reception, even though it's clearly not the worst, it's clearly not the least ambitious. And in my opinion, bad Doctor Who are unambitious stories.
Yeah. No, yeah, like things that are... I think you can be safe every now and then, but I think it's like when you get maybe perhaps too safe, when it starts to feel like, oh, we're doing this again, sort of thing.
I've said before how it's so... What's the metric in rating pieces of TV from the 60s, 70s, 80s out of context? It's so hard to tell what the good ones and the bad ones are apart. This is your baby. You will defend the Twin Dilemma just because it's not as bad as people make out. I'm the same with Underworld or something. Delta and the Bannermen.
Yes, no, Delta and the Bannermen. Again, it's not the best story, but it does something different. It has a go, and I admire ambition and the willingness to try more than, I don't know, the Dominators again. But
okay, number one, you need to leave those little boys alone. Those quarks are like my children.
It's not even the quarks, it's just everything else. It's just so dull.
Adam seems adamant to talk about stories that aren't the Twin Dilemma.
I'm so sorry.
Coincidence?
Yeah, coincidence?
No. Clearly you want to change the topic.
No,
it's just such an engrossing bit of TV.
I did debate suggesting episode 1 of the Dominators, but then I thought no, because I'll just be bored, so I'll pass.
And I would be very happy. I'd be jumping up and down in my seat going, that's a quark, Adam!
That's a quark!
That's the quark! These must be the Dominators! It's an intentional bad first impression, which I get, what as an audience watching it after the Caves of Androzani, what the hell you meant to make of that as a kid in the 80s, in 1984?
That's it.
Hey!
Yeah.
They call me the Trivia Man. But of course, upon retrospect, we can see how it fits into the greater scheme of things. We can see it being so different from its contemporaries. And like we said with Delta and the Bannermen, Twin Dilemma, these are stories that are so gaudy, so outrageous, even visually upsetting, that they stand out. They're not the Dominators, they're not the Space Pirates, they're not the Invisible Enemy. You could not possibly forget the Twin Dilemma. There's nothing worse than a boring bit of classic Who.
Absolutely. And I think like, poor Twin Dilemma, in all like the Doctor Who magazine polls and stuff, I think in all of them it's always been at the bottom. It's like the very bottom story. And, you just sort of look at it and think, is it really the least entertaining story though? Or engaging story?
Yes, exactly. There's the word. There's that subjective, like, what even is entertaining when we look at a piece of media divorced like this, this hard? I don't know. It got voted the worst Doctor Who television story in 1998, 2009. I remember voting for that one. And 2014.
Do you know what? I think if they do it again, I think I'd put money on this would not be at the bottom. Because I have seen perception on it change. I've chatted with people who say, oh, it's, the worst thing ever. And they say, oh, well, watch it again. And they go, oh, do you know what? It's still not, in their mind, like a good story. But they're like, but I had fun. I enjoyed it. I'd
love to know what would place there. Because you could go, ho, Timeless Children. But that doesn't rate that lowly on the whole, does it?
No, I don't. Also, I've just realised, where did Perry get that blanket from? Did she just nick it from...
I haven't been watching the episode for a fair while, my man. I'm back in.
That's all right.
I see the math boys, I tune out. I see Jaconda.
I love how this officer who they've just found dead looks pretty much like a regular police officer with a few funky badges.
You would have left one of your own kind to die.
See, I like that. You would have left one of your own kind to die. That's quite a... it's quite a profound thing to say to your companion after you've just met them, but...
Doctor, I still have your finger marks around my neck. Please don't take the moral high ground.
Yeah, but that, again, it's a shame they don't make more of that, like, that she doesn't seize that opportunity to call him out for it.
Exactly. Oh, and that's what Perry becomes best at, actually, as a companion. She's a Clara type where her critiques of the Doctor are so on points that you can't not agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
That happens in... Trouble in Paradise, brilliant story with Christopher Columbus. Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's one with Sigmund Freud in space, like future Sigmund Freud, where they go for couple counselling. She's a great companion. She's very outspoken in a good way.
See, I like that. How can you be so pathetic? Like, so I'm just watching it now.
If you want to talk about pathetic, I think I'm going to do my last piece of shitting on it.
Go on.
And that is this episode 1 cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah, we're coming to it, aren't we? Yeah.
Murderer! There's nothing worse than cliffhangers where a human holds a gun at Doctor Who.
Is it a close-up on Colin's face? Yes, it is! Hey! And the trend begins. But wouldn't it be interesting if the cliffhanger... Like, you just had that wonderful moment with Perry, again, calling him out for being pathetic, like, congratulating himself, not caring about others. Wouldn't it be far more interesting if the cliffhanger was maybe... Is the Doctor going to have another one of these, tumultuous moments? What if he takes the guy's gun and rounds on Perry?
Or on him even, yeah.
Yeah, that'd just be a much more interesting cliffhanger than just, oh, now this corpse has decided to spring back to life and point a gun. Yeah.
It's like that trope where it's like, we found you with a dead body. We didn't do it. This time the dead body is accusing them of doing it.
I mean, I think if that first part shows anything, it's that the Twin Dilemma, You Can't Deny, has a lot of ambitious ideas that it's not afraid to say, hey, look, we're trying this. But it either skimps out on them way too soon, or they don't have the time to develop it in maybe a way that would have been more beneficial to an audience, perhaps?
It wants the opportunity to have the drama of the revival, which is why Capaldi was always going to get the better chance to do this arc.
Oh, yeah?
There just isn't space for character building in the classic series, episode to episode. If Joe Grant or the First Doctor develop, it's incidental. Ba-da-ba-bum, ba-da-ba-bum. They should put these on the DVD whenever they release the Twin Dilemma Special Edition.
I'll wait for the season 21 Blu-ray. Absolutely. And it's the only story where they put that on. Where someone's just going, diddle-dun, diddle-dun.
You know what? I've got Colin Baker. I think he's hiding around here somewhere.
Yeah? Just hiding in your...
Colin?
Yeah.
Colin, we're watching one of yours.
I've got the writer here to... what's his name again? Anthony Stephen. Anthony! Tony!
What's he been doing? How's Anthony doing these days?
I don't mean to sound grim, but I don't think he's still alive, Anthony Stevens.
You just said he's there.
Oh, he's there.
Adam, are you keeping a dead body in your home?
Also, back to the episode, why has the guy got a water pistol? It's definitely a water pistol, look at it.
Just fun and games.
Imagine that anticlimax, he just sprays him with water.
Again, would be more interesting. If you're going to be this off the wall, why not go the whole way and make your narrative unpredictable as well?
See, and that's why it's a weak cliffhanger. He says, oh, he deserves it. Clearly doesn't have the thing to pull the trigger and just collapses. It's just very, it may as well not have happened.
I think that's my biggest issue with this story. There is interesting characters doing unpredictable things in a very on-rails standard story. The story itself takes no risks. It's just the characters within it and the actors.
Oh my god, I just saw the tinfoil. Look at that control panel. Oh, jeez.
That's Doctor Who, baby. That's Kino.
Oh, man. Again, I can defend Twin Dilemma on some aspects. Tinfoil sets? Nah, no.
It becomes a really good resource in the future when we branch out into other worlds. It's tinfoil all the way, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they make it work somehow. They had to get a set, and now these two are just... They're basically told to draw blotches on a bit of plastic, and that's exactly what they're doing. But...
Let's carry on where we were last episode. Let's try and think of placements that would be on the bottom of the Doctor Who magazine episode list. Which story would place there now?
I think, sadly, because there are a lot of people who don't like the era, I'd worry that maybe a Jodie story would be down there. I don't know which one.
Hey, if it was Arachnids in the UK, I wouldn't protest. That's the exact kind of lazy, unambitious story we've been talking about. I think one of the other punished ones, like Warriors of the Deep, would take the gauntlet, because Warriors of the Deep historically has been used against the show, so it's kind of been painted onto the series history.
But then again, I always think, I watched it recently, Warriors of the Deep, and beyond the Merca and some of the sets, I'd argue the story itself, the premise, is a really good premise for Doctor Who.
I agree. I don't think it's pain-inducing at any moment to watch.
No, I think it's a lot of perceptions about classic stories in particular, like with the Twin Dilemma. I think one particular bad moment, gets emphasised so much. So, for this story, it's the Doctor strangles Perry, or in Warriors of the Deep, it's the Merca literally hasn't been finished yet. But they get, talked about so much, they literally dominate the discourse about that story.
They become the story. And then you're buying into how people who hate the programme wanted you to see the programme. Perry kind of be looking like a cutie in this. I think every outfit she wears, other than the Attack of the Cybermen get-up, is very, very sweet.
Yeah. She pulls off a lot of different fashions, doesn't she? Don't you just love that as well? The Doctor has a sixth sense for danger.
That's a Brooke Cannon fact coming up. I'm trying to work out if the Doctor does have some kind of spider sensibility for sensing evil.
And he claims he gets a tickling sensation whenever the Daleks are near, whatever that tickling sensation is. But
I love that evil is an inherent trait that can be sensed.
Yeah.
A bunch of my favourite series do that, and then the second they do that, I'm like, hang on, no.
No, boys, no.
Not quite how human morality works.
Don't you love as well how the deck chairs from the Five Doctors make a reappearance here? Or one of them?
Oh, that's... Alright, Mr. Trivia, trying to take my title from me.
Well, no, I'm guessing it is. I mean, it could be any old wicker chair, but let's just say it's the one from the Five Doctors.
They're not having a mid-story picnic with lunch and tea, so the Five Doctors is already better paced than this. Every story should stop for that. Bit of bad trivia here, bit of naughty trivia.
Oh, go on.
Rusty Davis cites this story as the beginning of the end of Doctor Who.
Oh dear. Russell, no.
This is what I think. I think we are all, I've said this before as well, I'm a broken record, I think we're all absorbing 80s Doctor Who fans' opinions. And that's defined the aesthetics of the show and its fandom. So we were brought up with the Twin Dilemma as one of the bad ones. Underworld is one of the bad ones. So they just really get dismissed so quickly. No, so it's good. It's good that reappraisals for stories like this can happen. We're heroes, basically, watching part 1 and part 2 alone.
I think, and I've said this on Twitter, but I don't mind saying it here, I find the Twin Dilemma more entertaining and a story I would rewatch more than City of Death.
Adam, I'm trying to defend you here, bud.
I'm sorry, Sam, but I've got to be truthful here.
You're picking fights. You're gonna make me cry on the internet. That's not a good look for you.
No, it's just an opinion, the City of Death is not bad. It's not a bad story, but if you gave me the two, it's which one would you want to rewatch? I'd pick Twin Dilemma in a heartbeat.
Douglas Adams is rolling in his grave. I think that's the most...
Sorry, Dougie.
The most brutal accidental insult ever delivered on the dead.
Oh, here's the cowardice bit. Aliens, no, don't shoot.
It's good. I like this. This comes back in Mindlash. Mindlash? What's wrong with my brain?
Mindlash? That's a good...
Oh, no.
That's a good hybrid story there. The hybrid!
It's called... I don't know what it's called. I watched it last month.
Time Lash.
Mind Warp. It happens in Mind Warp. Oh my god.
Also, sorry, that little thing he's got in front of his chair, that's definitely one of those things you see at a bowling alley where you can input your name.
I have to wonder what that giant plastic tube does as a part of the machine.
It carries all the currents, obviously.
Does it have to be that big?
Yeah, one Sixth Doctor story that I did try to watch to see if I could like reevaluate it, but couldn't really, was Time Lash. Like, I do feel sorry for it, but it's not it, bruh.
I think you made a noble effort trying. But when there's actual cast members sabotaging the production purposefully, then
Paul Darrow,
it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you can't really go much higher than that. Okay, another plus of the Twin Dilemma. The pacing is better than 90% of Colin Baker's stories.
Yeah, but is that because it's 4 25-minute episodes instead of like 2 45-minute ones?
That format clearly didn't work for this era of the show at all, because then you get stories like Attack of the Cybermen and Resurrection, where the Doctor and Perry are stuck in the TARDIS and only join the story at the cliffhanger, halfway through the story.
Yeah, but I love Revelation of the Daleks, right? And I know that that's the common complaint of part 1, that the Doctor and Perry spend part 1 walking to tranquil repose. And whilst that's true, but I kind of don't mind that, because the setup in part 1 is really all about like Necros and the world of tranquil repose and getting to know these side characters and finding out what Davros is up to. Do you know what I mean? That's how I've always found it.
There's a lot of nice world building, and if the show did it now, you'd call it intentional. It's not intentional in the 80s, but it still works. The Two Doctors does not earn it. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that's a different story.
That's the outlier.
Also, when you drank like 20 giants, Asmael likes to go on a massive bender.
Which Doctor did that with him? It's gotta be Pertwee.
This guy's awake now, the corpse, as I called him earlier.
£50, tell me his name.
What, the character or the actor?
The character who's on screen. No, you don't know, do you?
That is a great question. I'm just going to keep calling him the corpse, because that's my association with him at the minute. Oh, wait, he's got a name badge. What does that say?
No, don't read! I've just lost £50. My heart's beating.
I can't even read it anyway, because it's so... The flare, the gloss on it. But there's your water pistol, mate. Get it back.
You abduct these children, deprive them of their memories, bring them to this screaming wilderness, and won't disclose your motives?
That's a bit noncy, that.
It's pretty sus.
That's pretty noncy, that.
Asmael, we spoke about this.
Oh, he's going to change outfit. He's fancy dress. I can't remember what he changes into.
I mean, every character's already wearing fancy dress, so it's fine.
I mean, that is an accurate statement if I ever heard one.
Oh my god, what is this, a Whittaker story? Everyone's just standing around statically.
Ooh, hot take.
They're already socially distancing, and COVID hadn't even begun yet. My theory as to why this one is so panned is because everybody involved disliked it so much. I don't think it's an audience reception. Peter Moffat said it was the worst serial we ever did. Eric Sayward has badmouthed it as well, from memory. I bet John Nathan Turner loved it.
No, I bet he did.
And it's a little bit sad that he never got to do that journey, that part of the character arc, the way he wanted to do it, because of course he's reclaimed the character through Big Finish, but he never got to do this part of the arc the way he wanted to. Was it a bad decision to, tag this on at the end of the season and then have the audience wait 9 months? Probably, yeah. Yeah.
If the Twin Dilemma had started season 22, and then we could have seen that arc, it would have felt less jarring to people, probably.
Although, at the same time, then you wouldn't have Attack of the Cybermen as a series opener.
Oh, that's a shout. I do have quite a soft spot for Attack of the Cybermen.
I think it's very impressive, and it's a good opener.
We're gradually nearing the end of episode 2, but again, I hope people, if they've been watching this with us, maybe think, maybe this story isn't as bad as, everyone says it is, or as everyone makes it out to be. Oh, please don't... It's not another cliffhanger in the TARDIS. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, Jesus.
It's just him. A character gets transported back to the TARDIS for every cliffhanger. In part 3, they just wrap up the adventure, go back inside. Oh, wait, it's him again.
Yeah.
He's actually the Sixth Doctor's most recurring enemy.
Oh, why did they have to cliffhanger with that? Poor Nicola Bryant.
Actors who were considered for roles in this story include Jim Broadbent, Peter Clay, and Peter Capaldi.
Oh, imagine if he was the guy who's in the TARDIS wearing that funky, colourful suit and it's Peter Capaldi.
No, Hugo Lang is the gun guy. Oh my. Mwah. Can you imagine if that was his contribution to the series in the Twin Dilemma? Thank you for joining me. This was a really, really good pick. And there'll be more.
No, cheers, man. Thank you for having me.
Mwah.
Mwah.